Psalm 91. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him I will trust. Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked. Because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near you, your dwelling. For He shall give His angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation.
On November 19th of 2022, 89 Americans set out on a life-changing journey to the Holy Land, where Jesus walked and lived. Led by Christian ministry, His Glory, the purpose of the expedition was to unravel the mysteries that connect end-time prophecies to the moment we're living in.
When we talk about the land of Israel, it's the only land where in the last 75 years, the nation has come back. They're in the land in the latter days. You have Hebrew being spoke again in the nation of Israel. That was in 1947. June 6, 1967, the Six-Day War, getting Jerusalem, East Jerusalem back to get the holy city under one. That's why it's so important to the Israeli people, and it should be important to Christians, because this is God's land. And the last one is the shekel. 1982, the shekel became the currency of Israel again. All four prophecies fulfilled. And basically our lifetime.
go to the place where Jesus was born, to be in the land that God's promised his people. Can't hardly put it into words. It's incredible.
Just seeing the wall and I put my prayers in that I had written, pray for my family for healing, and knowing that God sees us, and I know he has my prayers.
What is so real is that it's making the Bible real. It really has changed my life.
We pray that this trip for the next few days not only brings the Bible alive for you, but inspires you to go back to make a difference throughout the world.
Israel's missile defense systems lighting up the sky as they try to intercept incoming Hamas rockets.
It's a miracle that Israel is still in existence in this part of the world.
Explosions have rattled the country.
The alliance with the United States of America is crucial for the very existence of the State of Israel in this area.
Our U.S. Constitution was built on Judeo-Christian values. And in America, we're getting away from that on purpose, and we got to get back to the roots of our Constitution.
So the hope has to be that we can quell the hatred, empower those who are seeking peace. Our destiny, it requires it of us.
And we want to welcome all of His Glory Nation from east to west to north to south. Welcome to today's Take 5, March the 23rd. Happy Thursday to everyone. We're going to go through the comms real quick. Hopefully you saw the trailer of our new documentary called Holy Land. That was from our trip in November, narrated by Mickey Willis. Amazing. We'll have that Holy Land documentary out hopefully in the May timeframe. So look forward to that. It's the journey of 89 to 100 people that toured the Holy Land and met with some of our contacts in the Israeli government and also the military. So stay tuned. It was an amazing, amazing trip when you go to the nation of Israel. Tent Revival, get ready. April the 1st, a week from this coming Saturday. Our guest is going to be here with us. Chris Burgard will be there. Nick Searcy will be there. Ohio Brett, Scott McKay, Derek Johnson, Dr. Sherwood, Bull Pony, Pastor Rob McCoy, Manuel Johnson will be there. Tanya Joy Gibson, she'll be singing the national anthem for us. And as far as music, we will have Jimmy Levy, and then we'll have two of His Glory bands, Mount Zion and the Steve Hill Band. So lots of praise and worship. So get your tickets today. Go follow the link to get them on His Glory. We're going to have Lara Trump and Eric Trump both on separately. I believe that will be, we're shooting for next week, so stay tuned to that. All right, our guest today, Bull Pony. We're going to talk about God's timing and why 2023 is so important on God's time calendar. Bo, good to see you again.
Thank you, Pastor Dave. Love speaking with you, and I look forward to, actually, I can't believe it's next weekend already, so I'm heading to Texas.
Texas bound. We're going to have a great time at this tent revival in Texas.
Yeah. I'm really excited. And thank you and your wife and your family and your team for putting this all on. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So I'm going to give you the floor to talk about what the Lord has shown you and the importance of the dates in the year 2023.
I was thinking, what should we title this thing? And the words that came up to, when I was quiet, the understanding, God's timing in the book of Revelation, because we are now in that season. We're in the book of Revelation. We're not in the, not in the end here. We're in the beginning of it, but you need to understand the timing of that and why this year, 2023, is so important. And then we're going to touch base on some really, really critically important dates that are not my dates. They're God's dates. They're God's appointed times and his appointed seasons. And so there's that's when God moves. I've seen very clearly that the events of the past, 3 years roughly, all the critical events have happened and occurred on critical biblical or godly time points. See, so God is operating, he's control of all of this, and all these critical and big events are literally occurring on his appointed times. Just as a perfect example, just recently, we can just look back recently, what happened was the 6th of March. The Tucker tapes came out on the day. So Purim was on the eve of the 6th, and that is when the Tucker tapes came out in reference to January 6th. You see, so the point I'm trying to make is those tapes could have come out any time, but they came out. The video came out of Tucker on March 6th regarding January 6th. Of all the days that it could have come out, it came out on the exact day Purim started that evening. See, so I'm just trying to give the viewers an understanding of how God is in control of all this.
Yep.
So God wrote this story, at creation. And Adam and Eve, and then you got the, evil getting on the earth, and then you got the story of Nebuchadnezzar who gets the dream, and then you got Daniel on the earth, and all the timelines that I'm going to cover today are the timelines given to Daniel. So that's the key. The essence of what I use in all my calculation are the Daniel time windows, the Daniel cycle, and it specifically relates to the number 7. And it's fascinating because what we're literally watching fulfillment of a 2,500-year prophecy given to Daniel, meaning Daniel got the interpretation from God in reference to the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had. And it's crazy because if you think about this, the point of the 2,500-year prophecy that stands to date is to show to the world that there is a God. Because there's no, God makes fools of diviners and psychics and the wise, people think they're so wise, right? He makes fools of them. And the reason those were God's words, not mine. But the point is because to have a prophecy that stands a test of 2,500 years from Persia to Babylon to Rome to the Papacy, to have all of these kingdoms manifest precisely as forecast or stated within the prophecy is an impossibility. But that's where our God operates, and that's where he shows himself to the world. So all these things that are happening, the point of the whole little preface there was to have people understand that, we live in this little microcosm of time. We're looking at, this year, 2020, 21, 22, 23, and yet this goes back thousands of years, and we just happen to be here. And one of the greatest points in time in history, we are chosen to be here to watch really comparable moments in time would have been the glory moments on this earth. So I'll give you a couple. One would be Noah's Ark. When the earth broke open, the rain came down. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights, 150 days of water kept rising. And at the end of all that, what you had was a new era a year later. Okay, so the point being is that is the glory manifesting with. So when the glory manifests, everything we know flips upside down and a whole new is birthed. Make sense? Because that's what happened with Noah's Ark, with Noah. Okay, same too with what happened at the Red Sea. Israel was in bondage for 400 years. Moses shows up, we know the whole story. They get to the Red Sea. And then even after being released by Pharaoh, Pharaoh's like, I'm going to kill them for what they did to my son in Egypt. And they get to the Red Sea. And they would have been, today, there would be no Israel if God did not manifest. And when I say God, I mean the glory. And what did the glory do? Your shirt, your what you do, his glory. If the glory didn't manifest, we would have never, the Jewish nation would be gone today. But instead, in a 24-hour window, Israel was not destroyed. It was Pharaoh. and everything flipped. And on the other side of the Red Sea, when it was closed, a whole new began. You see? See, when God intervenes, there's a birth of a new. And so we're about to witness the birth of a new. So those two examples are examples that happened thousands of years ago. But now there's worldwide, there's billions of people on this earth, nothing compared to what happened thousands of years ago, right? So now we're about to witness the glory manifest again, and we're going to see the birth of a new. We'll talk about when this could go down and how it's all playing out. But I'm telling you, at the end of this event, there'll be a birth of a new, no different than what happened at the Red Sea miracle, no different than happened with Noah. Okay, so we're heading into what's called a new era of time. And before Christ showed up, who was in the wilderness screaming, "Prepare the way for the Lord"? John the Baptist. So what is Pastor Dave? What have you been doing? What are many of the prophets doing? What is the remnant church now doing? They're shouting, they're on alternate media. What are they saying? Prepare the way for their Lord in their own ways. Okay. So that's what's happening because the glory is about to manifest. So what does that mean? Well, if we go back to the Daniel 2 prophecy, there's one piece of it that's missing, and it's Daniel 2, verse 34. And a stone carved out by no human hand. That no human hand means there's two parts of that prophecy are really key words because God speaks with precision and you must read the words precisely. So a stone carved out means that God's going to use what? Well, he told us through Kim Clements. The stone is gold. So gold is going to be the stone that's carved out by no human hand, meaning God intervenes. So when you read Daniel 2, verse 34, a stone carved out by no human hand means that God is going to raise the price of gold to do what? Because that prophecy specifically talks about the destruction of Babylon. So we're about to see the destruction of Babylon. So if Babylon is destroyed, what's birthed, Pastor Dave? God's kingdom.
Yep.
Thy kingdom come. Now, Jesus Christ is not returning yet because why? He's coming for the wedding for a bride that's without spot or wrinkle. This is scriptural, which means that Christ cannot return today or tomorrow just yet because the whole world's full of sinners and most of them don't even know the name Jesus. And the name Jesus must be spoken across the four corners of the earth, north, south, east, west, before he even returns, which means that before he returns, you have to have what? The fulfillment of Haggai 2, verse 9. The latter rain will be greater than the former. So the greatest spiritual revival in human history. So we're setting the stage for the greatest revival in human history, but it hasn't happened yet. Why? Because the glory hasn't manifested yet. You see, like Noah was building an ark, but he was crazy until the door closed. God closed the door, and then the earth broke open and the rains came. You see what I'm saying? So we're nothing but building the arks right now. We're getting ready, but the glory hasn't manifested. So when could the glory manifest? So now we can get into the presentation and we can talk about what God revealed to me with regard to timing, because it's critical to understand the times and the seasons. And God has revealed to me the timing, his timing, not my timing, his timing, using Daniel's timeline in reference to Revelation. Because there are people out there right now that are confusing the scriptures. They're more scholar than I am in reference to the Bible, but they don't understand the times or God's timing. And that's the essence. You have to understand the time and then calculate. And it's just like Matthew, he loved to calculate. For whatever reason, I love to calculate. And all I do is I run math cycles over and over again. And then the math that comes out is kind of freaky because these key dates are like non-breakable, just like when I predicted, and it wasn't me, but using the Daniel cycle, you were able to predict that something critical would happen on the 20th of April, 2020, and oil went to negative $38 a barrel. Pastor Dave, come on, what does that mean? Like but it's a marker in time, and then only to find out that if you use the same cycle of time with regard to Noah, 150 days later at peak water height, 150 days, guess what happened? Is Rosh Hashanah, Ruth Bader Ginsburg dies. You can't make this up because the math is too perfect, right? And then what I say, within 2 years of the death of Ginsburg, you're going to have the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Boom, June 24th. It just happens to be 21 months, which is 3 times 7. From when Ginsburg dies to the death, to the overturning of Roe v. Wade, 21 months. So my point I'm making is it's all by God's design. So that's what I want people to understand. You need to, if you understand the times and the seasons, then you're not scared, because they're about to pull the nuclear card. Why? We're stepping into the clash of the titans. Why? Pastor Dave, let's say you were doing things that were horrendous, horrible to humanity, things that were like just despicable, right? As an example, and that's what they've done. They've done things that are despicable. So what are they going to do? They know if the truth comes out of what they've done, they're dead.
Right.
What are they going to do, Pastor Dave? They're going to fight to the
death.
Okay, which means that they're going to pull the nuclear card. Don't be surprised, because they're going to try to do anything and everything they can to stop this from coming out, because the truth will destroy them. And these are alpha predators, meaning that they know nothing but one agenda. They will not stop. They will not stop. They're not going like, oh, okay, I'm going to stop. No, they will not stop, because they're demon-possessed alpha predators, and demons will not stop. They have one agenda. One agenda alone is to destroy God's creation, and that is all their agenda. They will not stop, and these people are demon-possessed, and they are going to continue on those set of railroad tracks until what? The glory manifests. And just like when Jesus, to the pit, he cast demons out of one guy into all the pigs, right? And they all ran. So the point is, the glory must manifest on this earth, and then boom, it's over in 24 hours. So when could that be? Well, we're going to go to the presentation, but just to give you a prelude to the whole thing, May 1 is critical to the world. Okay, May 1 is a time point that would correlate to the Red Sea closing on Pharaoh's head, destroying Pharaoh, and the next 24 hours over, Red Sea's closed, Egypt's on the other side, Israel is on the other side, Egypt is destroyed, and it's over, done, complete. So is it May 1, first week of May? I don't know. It's God's secret, because the day and the hour are his secret. But the calculations pointing to May 1, which is coincidentally Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. And then Hank Kuhneman, crazily enough, just this past weekend, had a prophetic word, and God actually used the word Mayday. You can't make this up, but I've been saying for the past month now, the calculations pointed to Mayday, Mayday. And then Hank Kuhneman this weekend utters those words when the Holy Ghost is upon him. So I'm just telling you, mass changes are about to hit the world, and we just need to be prepared for what's about to happen. Again, all of this is God's secrets, but I'm doing the calculations, and all of it's pointing to this year 2023 being historic. So if we can click on slide 1, Mystery Babylon is the deep state. It's written in Revelation 17, verse 5. It talks about Mystery Babylon. And if you think about this, right, if you go to page 3, think about Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, Rockefellers, Rothschilds. What are they doing? They're paying everybody money to pull strings. They work in the shadows. So they're the puppet masters. That's why it's called a mystery, because you don't see them. The people that are controlling the stage are behind. They're pulling the strings. That's why it's a mystery. And how they did it all was with the money. What's God going to raise? The stone, gold. So what that means is very specific. If they built Babylon with fiat fake money, how's God going to destroy them? He's going to destroy how they built it. So he's going to destroy their money. That's the bottom line. It's not about the stock market. It's specifically about the money. Those viewers that would like this PDF presentation, it's 77 pages by coincidence. I just did it. The next thing you know, it's like, oh, 77 pages. But it's 77 pages. Page 2 has a QR code. Anybody wants to scan that, you can download the whole thing. Thousands of hours done that I put in for free.
Wow.
So you can have a look at what is coming and look at end times, look at Revelation to understand the timing. So if we go over to page 5, on page 5, specifically, we know the story of Belshazzar, Mene, Mene, Tekel, Upharsin. The translation is, God has numbered your days of reign and brought it to an end. You have been weighed in the scales and balances and found deficient, found out of balance. And your kingdom has been and will be divided. And that night he died. Pastor Dave, that just happened to be Passover.
Yep.
Okay. Passover this year is April 6th. So another critical date is Passover. It starts on the eve of the 5th and it goes into the 13th. What day does God act? God knows, it's his secret, but it's 15 Nisan that we'll talk about that was critical in terms of timing for many historic things to happen, including the death of Belshazzar happened on 15 Nisan. So that date this year is April 6th. So now on page 7, this is another like wow moment. So page 7, so this was a prophetic word given by Kent Christmas on March 19th, which was this past Sunday. He got the prophetic word on March 18th. So it would be a week this Saturday. The crazy thing was, I was on a podcast with flyover conservatives, Stacy and David, 2 weeks ago, or early part of last week. And I was literally saying that when we're talking about a mortal wound that's about to happen, lo and behold, Kent Christmas talks about it. That's about to hit the world. So it's the mortal wound is supposed to hit the world within 7 days of this prophecy, which would be this Saturday. But we know Saturday is a Sabbath. So potentially, again, I'm just going by the words given by Kent Christmas, which means that we could see something happen maybe tomorrow, Friday. We'll see. I don't know. I'm just saying that we're setting the stage for what's about to happen because he says the mortal wound that's going to hit evil is setting the stage for April. And the words were this: in the next 7 days, I'm going to hit a mortal wound to the enemy in the United States of America. And as men have said, March winds and April showers, God says there is a wind of the Lord getting ready to hit this coming week in the United States of America that is going to astound people. What does that mean?
Wow.
Okay. All I know is that for like 2 months now, my analysis on my charts for cryptocurrencies and gold and silver was pointing to the end of March. I've been writing this since like I think November, October, that look to the end of March. And then you got Kent Christmas right now, last Sunday, talking about a mortal wound. And so what is a mortal wound? Well, I've referenced it in here. It's on page 7 at the very bottom. It's talked about in Revelation 13. And this is important for the world to understand. Those that think this is critical to think, hey, when this event happens, the glory is going to be so incredible. Yes, it's true. The finances are going to be so incredible. Yes, it's true. And now, because of this incredible stuff that happened, evil's gone. And we're now, and this virus and everything we've seen now in the world was the plague and was the mark of the beat, the shot that everybody was talking, the mark that everybody's talked about in Revelation and all. No, you see, this is where you need to understand the precision use of words, because mortal wound is discussed in the Bible in Revelation 17. And what it says is, and then I saw another beast rise out of the earth. So you understand, see, the first beast is Mystery Babylon. So we are witnessing the first beast of Revelation right now that's going to get a mortal wound, that's going to be killed. But then the last line it says, but the mortal wound was healed. So the mortal wound is healed. The Antichrist system rises again. But this is the cool part, right? We'll talk about this later, but it's so great because God is going to take their wealth right now, fulfilling Proverbs, the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. So we're about to get the blessings. So they're trying to come in right now, Pastor Dave, because they have trillions of dollars.
Yep.
Which they're about to lose. Goes to the church because the church doesn't need money, but the church deserves the money. Why? Because the earth was made for what? God's creation. We are the head. We're to be the head, not the tail. We are to be the lenders to the nations. But Satan got on the earth through Adam and Eve and has flipped the tables. And that's why Jesus Christ went into the temple and was pissed at who? One of the only times you saw Jesus Christ angry, when the righteous anger, was when he flipped the tables and the money changers, because he knew that their love for money would be the root of all evil for the next 2,000 years.
Yep.
Who we got going on right now? So page 8, we're about to see the fulfillment of Isaiah 61. And Isaiah 61 specifically speaks about when Jesus Christ walked in the temple and he read Isaiah 61 and he finishes with the year of the Lord's favor. And then he stops and then he says, as the scripture was read, it is fulfilled. He never read the last line, the day of vengeance. So Isaiah 61 was never fully fulfilled. It was only fulfilled as Jesus read. And then he closed it. So we're about to witness the Isaiah 61 moment and the completion of it, the day of vengeance of our God. And that will be the mortal wound that's about to hit evil, which then is going to lead to another strike, massive, whatever God's going to do in April, to the final kill shot, the final battle of the Red Sea battle. So the military conflict, the big scare, the nuclear scare into the first week of May. So all of this is heading into incredible shift within our world, which then takes us into page 9. So that you've talked to many people about September 24th, last September, when the British pound plummeted, okay? And that was Rosh Hashanah. And they printed money like crazy to push up the markets and push back into the pound because they knew that everything's going to collapse, okay? Well, if you go 9 months, because what are we looking for? The birth of a new era. So 9 months from September 24th, Pastor Dave, is what? June 25. If you go to so June 25 is another critical date because by this point, it's over. 3 days before that is a summer solstice, which is a day of most light. And we know what light does to darkness, destroys it, okay? So all of this is heading into the start, I think, here as March ends, big events going down in April, to a world, to a massive conflict in May or early May, and then it's over complete, but basically something still is going to continue into the end of June, and then it's fully complete on page 10. This is the cycle of time on page 10 that you can see using Daniel's calculation. So January 12th of 2020 was the first confirmed case of COVID outside of China. If you add 1,260 days exactly, you just happened to land on the same exact date, June 25, 2023. So both the 9-month calculation of birth and the Daniel cycle of time both point to June 25 as it's over, which is then going to lead to massive shifts. This summer is going to be truly awesome. And then we're going to lead it. And then there's a 45-day window, if you understand the timing, which will take us into August. And then there's a prophetic word that Kim Clement also stated, something about the earth is about to reveal its riches. So I would expect that we'll probably see earthquakes and eruptions, the 2 E's, this summer. And then the earth's going to reveal its riches that it has, that they've been hiding from us. So God's going to bless his church like we've never imagined before. If we go to page 12, Page 12 talks specifically about, we talk about Purim and how that just happened to air. The Tucker tapes literally came out on Purim, which is crazy. Page 13 talks about the next 3 Purims. So we know the story of Haman. He hung on the gallows that he built to try to kill all the Jews. The next 3 years consecutive, 24, 25, and 26, all the next 3 Purims, this never happened historically. They just happened to land on Purim. That tells us that for the next 3 years, remember, we had 3 years of Corona, 3.5 years into the end of June. The next 3.5 years to complete what? 7 years.
Yep.
The next 3.5 years correlate directly with what's called the Haman effect. So these people are going to have the worst 3.5 years of their life. There will be hangings, military hangings possible. There's going to be hangings, however it plays out, but I would suspect it's military hangings that are going to be happening. No different than happened with Mordecai, and no different than happened after World War II, when World War II, when 10 people hung on the gallows. Coincidentally, same as the Hamans. 10 people, 10 sons. So the next 3 years will be truly the greatest 3 years the world has ever seen, in the worst 3.5 years the world has ever seen. It depends on what side of the railroad tracks you're sitting on. When Joshua came down, right? Choose this day whom you will serve. So I hope that kind of gives the viewers an understanding of using Daniel's timeline. So why is it taking so long? Because the revelation I received is we needed the 3.5 years from when Corona manifests, and 2020 was the beginning of the end. So that was the manifestation of the first seal. Now, if we can go to page 18, we talk about the seals. So we know, so Corona virus was seal 1. If you understand, it's the archer of Revelation. If you go to the Sistine Chapel, that's not Jesus, okay? That's Apollo in the Sistine Chapel. They drew Apollo. He's all muscular and everything. That's not Jesus. It's Apollo, and around him is the sun, the corona. And Apollo, if you study who's Apollo in mythology, he's the one who brings plague. So that was Corona. Second seal was peace taken from the earth. And these are in the slides below, basically peace taken from the earth. And that was when the George Floyd riots erupted on Pentecost. Backtrack, seal 1 opened on Hanukkah feast. Seal 2 opened on Pentecost feast. So if you click on page 19, you'll know how many horses of Revelation are there. We know there's 7 seals, but how many horses? 4 horses. So the revelation that I received is the 4 horses are going to open on 4 seasons, 4 feasts. So the first seal was open on Hanukkah. See on page 19. Second seal is open on Pentecost. The third seal is going to open on Passover. When's Passover? April 6th. Like next month, right? And then that leads us into the 4th seal, which is years down the road still. And that 4th seal will most likely be opened on trumpets and Rosh Hashanah years down the road. Okay, so we're not there yet, because that's the real plague and pestilence. But by that time, the church has separated itself. And the things that are written, that's for they, them, not my children who are called by my name. So based on the seasons, based on God's feasts, what page 19 is indicating that the 4 horsemen, the 3rd horse of Revelation, is about to manifest on Passover. So now if we look to, well, why would it be this Passover? So now let's look at the bigger picture of timing. On page 24, you'll note that in 1620, the Mayflower landed. How long was Israel in bondage to Pharaoh? 400 years. What happened in the year 2020? Corona, the beginning of the end. It's precisely 400 years. So now we are in the Daniel cycle of 1,260 days, beginning January of 2020, which takes us into June of this year. June of this year will be, you'll be able to draw a line in the sand, and the world we know changed forever. So we're heading into the end of March, April, May, and June. So the next 3.5 months will be a time point the world will never forget, because the Daniel cycle of 1260 days is about to complete. So now if we can go to page 26, we've talked about the Kent Christmas prophecy that we just got about what's about to happen, the mortal wound. Wound means he's not dead yet, he's just going to get a mortal wound. Something's about to happen. So the mortal wound is the start, then that leads us into the things that are supposed to happen in April. Okay, well, what happened? So if you don't study history, you'll never know the future. That's the bottom line of what I do. If I didn't study history, I can never predict what the charts, what gold, what cryptocurrencies do with accuracy. I've been doing this for years now. I could never predict what cryptocurrencies would do if I didn't study history, what gold would do. So I study history, and then I can predict what gold, silver, and cryptocurrency will do in the future simply by studying history. So let's study history for a second. What happened on 15 Nisan? Let's look at page 26, right? That was the day that Jesus Christ was crucified. They fell into the trap. They actually crucified Jesus as the Passover lamb. Like the worst day they could have picked of their life, the evil picked them to do it, and they did it. And they actually crucified Jesus to become the Passover lamb. And boom, Christianity was born. Like, wow. But it was all by God's design to the start of the presentation. What else happened on 15 Nisan would be this year, April 6th. Isaac was tricked to bless Jacob. Gideon's 300 were assembled. The angel came to kill 185 Assyrian soldiers. Haman came to the king to try to convince him to kill all the Jews. Daniel was thrown in the lion's den. King Belshazzar drank from the golden vessels. We talked about this, and that was writing on the wall. Your kingdom's come to an end. And then most importantly, right, which correlates to 400 years of Israel and Pharaoh bondage, right? If you read Exodus, that was the day the angel of death came and killed Pharaoh's firstborn and all of, it was a precision. This is the key thing. It was a precision strike because it was only the firstborn of each family and Pharaoh's firstborn. It wasn't random deaths. It was precision strike. And Kent Christmas has already stated, if you look on page 27, the angel of death that killed Pharaoh is on the earth right now. So we are going to see thousands of deaths, sudden deaths, precision strikes, if history is about to repeat itself, in the month of April. And the angel of death did not strike Goshen. The angel of death struck Pharaoh.
Yep.
So what's about to happen with the death blow to the head, to the mortal blow, is then going to lead to the angel of death event in April, which then leads us into May 1. So if we can scroll forward here and go all the way to page 43, it took Israel, when they left Goshen, when they left Egypt, it took them 18 days to get to the Red Sea. They camped at the Red Sea for eight more days, and then they were expected to be killed because an army was coming at them. Don't be surprised if history is about to repeat itself. An army is about to kill the people of this world, the United States or whatever. And there's going to be, this is going to be the clash of the Titans moment. And this is going to look scary because you understand, it looks scary for, would it not look, if you were Israel pinned up against the Red Sea and an army is coming at you that has might and power, guess what? You think you're pretty much done, okay?
Right.
And that's when God shows up, when all hope is gone. And in 24 hours, it was the exact opposite. Pharaoh was destroyed, his army was killed, the Red Sea was closed, and it was over. So the first week of May, possibly right around May 1, the puppet masters of this world who control mystery Babylon, as written in Revelation, are gone, or have no, or are completely unimportant, as their world control system suddenly comes to an end. So there's a moment in time, that's that 24-hour window that when we study in the Bible, that Julie Green's talked about, that many prophets have referenced, the 24-hour window that God is going to move. So we don't know the day or the hour, but all I can do is study history, do the calculations forward. And so all of this is pointing to a massive, crazy event where potentially the military is going to have to intervene, because after the present day pharaohs are destroyed, then what's going to have to happen is the military is going to probably have to step in. And that would correlate with your intel. If you go to page so the present day pharaohs are just a handful of here that from Julie Green prophecies on page 44, but these are the present day pharaohs. And if you read Exodus 14, it says, and Moses said to the people, fear not. Okay, so whatever happens, see, if you read Matthew 24, be not deceived, for the end is not yet. These are the beginning of, this is critical, these are the beginning of birth pains.
Yep.
How long is birth, Pastor Dave? 9 months. What's about to be birthed? A new era. So what's about to happen is nothing but birth pains as the new era is birthed here this summer. So Exodus 14 is, and Moses said to the people, fear not, stand firm and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will work for you today. So he's going to work this. What does that mean? It means he's going to fulfill Daniel 2, verse 34, and a stone carved out by no human hand. So God's going to get the glory. How amazing is this when you put the pieces together? See, I'm just trying to put the pieces together to have people understand the timing of all this. So, and then for the present day Egyptians, the present day pharaohs, who you see today, you shall never see again. So in closing, if we can go to page 46, just give the viewers, and again, I really encourage you viewers to download this PDF from page 2 we did earlier. And secondly, watch this video a couple, 2, 3 times, because there's so many details and there's so much we didn't get to, okay? But the point I want you on page 46, this is a picture of time looking forward. This is a picture of Revelation. This is using Daniel's cycle of time and this is to understand God's timing in the book of Revelation. And what it's saying is this black area here between 2023, this summer, is the importance of 2023. So first seal Corona was January of 2020. That same year in May, feast, Pentecost, second seal opened, peace was taken from the earth, and we saw all the rioting going across the earth, including, which is happening in Canada, the Ukraine war right now. So this is second seal that we're seeing right now. And this is literally the real seals that are written in Revelation, okay? The real ones. So they're opening as a preface to the coming last 7 years, which we're not in right now. But what God showed me is these 7-year cycles, they happen several times before the Great Tribulation. So we're heading into the Great Tribulation, and I've taken the 7-year Daniel cycle, putting it in front of the final seven years. And so that takes us to third seal, which is about to manifest here at Passover. And this is when Israel left with all the gold and silver. They got paid for 400 years. So that we, the people, are about to be paid, those that have gold and silver, the greatest financial event in human history. And I mean that. The greatest financial event in human history is about to manifest here in April. Right around Passover, maybe sooner, maybe later, but it will happen in April, maybe sooner. I'm telling you, gold and silver are where they're going to be doing leaps. They're going to be exploding to prices we cannot imagine, because that's what the chart, silver and gold are going to break free of hundreds of years of price manipulation. This is going to be crazy, okay? Yep. Why? To fulfill Proverbs 13:22, the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. Who are the sinners? The modern day pharaohs. They've stolen what was initially and given to the bride, the church, and it was stolen by evil. And that's so on page 46, that leads us into June 25, 2023. There is your completion of 1,260 days this summer, end of June. 45-day window. And then basically the next 3.5 years begin on June 9th of 2023. And this is the great rebuild. So who's the builder, Pastor Dave? See, God will get all the glory for destroying Babylon. God is going to use the gold. He's going to destroy Babylon. The kingdom, Babylonian empire collapses and falls, fulfilling Daniel 2, verse 34. We're going to witness in our lifetime the dream that was given to Nebuchadnezzar 2,500 years ago. We are about to witness Daniel 2, verse 34. And that will fill prophetic scriptures that are written in Revelation. What are the skills? And in a single day, the kings of the earth will weep and wail. And then that leads us into the next 3.5 years, the greatest financial manifestation we've ever seen. But the money's going to be so great that we're not going to even care about that because we got all the blessings financially we need. So we're going to be watching the glory. This will be the greatest glory the world has ever seen. Thus your tent revivals, right? And these revivals are going to grow from like what Jesus started off with, follow me, to next thing there's 5,000 listening. Why? Because everybody, when the glory manifests, this is critical. When the glory manifests, everybody wants to see it. They want to hear it. They want to touch it. They want to feel it. They want to be around it. Why? Because it's like a magnet, right? Everybody wanted to be around Jesus. They want to touch him, hear him, see him. And that's what happens when the glory manifests. So the latter rain to be greater than the glory, because the latter rain be greater than the former rain, because the glory that's coming is going to be such a magnet that we're going to be recording with our cameras, literally, with the cameras, that we're going to see people's arms growing back, legs growing back. This will be recorded on video. And then what happens to the next tent revival? Forget 20% more people. God's going to multiply. So it's going to go multiples on these tent revivals to like thousands upon thousands upon thousands, all wanting to hear the word of God. They wanted to feel and see and touch the glory. And that is going to lead to the billion soul harvest. And then ultimately leading into in time, then evil rises again because the mortal wound is healed. And then the Antichrist kingdom rises in the future. Okay, maybe 2030 with Agenda 2030, latest probably 2034. But the Antichrist kingdom will rise because the mortal wound that God spoke of, he said mortal wound. It's a precision use of word. If you study the Bible, mortal wound is healed if you read Revelation. And so the mortal wound is healed, evil comes back, but they don't have the money, they don't have the power, and we are going to be in the world, and we're not going to be of the world. For my children who are called by my name. And then there's also in the Bible, you, yours, they, them. Okay. So the wheat, God's church, will rise with evil, the tares, for the final harvest, for the royal wedding. And that's in the future. But we're stepping into the greatest 3 years this world has ever seen. Daniel's cycle of time of 1,260 days completes June 25 into the summer solstice. We're supposed to see something trigger here end of March. Angel of death moment. The angel of death that visited Pharaoh in April. And then the Red Sea miracle, a final war, a final battle that comes to nothing because God intervenes. That comes to nothing first week of May, at least what the cycles of calculating time are pointing to.
It truly is the greatest time in the history of the world to be alive, and we get to be a part of this. We don't fear, we trust in him, and we know he's going to deliver us.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Bo. This has been a pleasure, and I can't wait to see you in a week, face to face, and we're going to let the glory shine. His glory.
Thank you, Pastor Dave. God bless you. God bless your wife. And again, thank you for all that you do and your team.
Thank you. God bless you, and go in his shalom.